let's talk about the mommies and daddies and uncles and aunts here. We have a Lego mapping as a tool also for foster children participation in DRR. So I think it's very interesting, and we have next speaker with us, Loic from Auckland University of Technology.
Thank you. Morning, everyone. So my name is Loic. I'm from Auckland as well, and actually we work together with Anthony, so we work on the same project. Except that he was talking about video games, and I'm going to talk about Lego. So participatory Lego mapping to foster children's participation. So Anthony's been focusing on the process mainly, so I'm going to focus on the rationale for using Lego and also the outcomes of using Lego as a tool to foster participation. So quick background on children's and DRR before I actually dive into using Lego. Well, first, we all know that children are vulnerable. We all know that they are disproportionately affected when disasters strike, but children are not passive victims and they are not resourceless. They actually have knowledge about their surrounding environment. I mean, as Anthony was pointing out, they are aware about who's vulnerable in their communities, who are the people who have disabilities, the elderly people, and so on. They also know about hazards. They know about past hazards that may have affected the communities. They also know about the resources within their community. They know about the capacities that exist where they live. So all these are concepts that are part of DRR, and as such, they are very capable as conducting risk assessment, and in fact, they have the legitimacy to do so because ultimately, they are directly concerned with DRR and with disasters. So they should be involved in both the production of knowledge and also the decision-making process. However, rarely they are involved in those different aspects of DRR. And that's for many reasons, and I'm not going to go into details about it this morning, but one of them is the lack of tools. The lack of tools to actually generate dialogue between children and outsiders. So outsiders are scientists, practitioners, adults within the communities, and so on. And that's basically where the project was sort of starting. We need to develop a tool that enables children to get more stake in the production of knowledge and in the decision-making process. So, sorry. So we decided to use Lego. Why Lego? Well, who's been playing Lego here before? Okay. And you probably have kids who play Lego. I play Lego. I think pretty much everyone play Lego, at least in Western countries. And so that was one of the reasons why we focused on Lego. We thought, okay, everyone knows Lego, everyone plays Lego, and it's grounded in the children's daily life. It's part of their childhood. So that was one of the reasons. And of course, adults too play Lego. The other reason was that Lego has heaps of opportunities to actually make combinations with, they're very famous with their 4x2 stud bricks. And so you can do thousands of combinations to produce many things. So we thought, okay, that's a fantastic opportunity. We should use it and try to see if we can do some participatory mapping with it. And so, yes, the other rationale was that with participatory Lego mapping, you can come up with a map that the children have built that enable fostering this dialogue between the children and the outsiders. So we worked in New Zealand, so I'm based in New Zealand like Anthony, and we worked in a small town which is in the North Island of New Zealand. I'm not sure if you're aware, but New Zealand has two islands, North and South Island. So this was in inland, about half an hour drive from Napier. And so this community was basically very interested in developing a community resilience plan. There was a momentum at community level, and they were very keen to involve the children as well in the school. So we said, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it. The school was in fact impacted by a big floods about 10 years ago. So that's a picture. That's a school, by the way. So the school is over here, and it was totally flooded, evacuated by the military at the time. And it's also very much exposed to different hazards, fires, earthquakes, and so on. So the community approached us, and very much we're keen to work on this participatory mapping using Lego. So that's how it looked like. That's how the process of building the map looks like. So you can see there are different kids. We work with 13 kids. We try not to have too many, so you can have some process happening, some mapping happening. And the kids were between 10 and 12 years old. So what you can see here are the kids who are basically building the different layers, and the point is that they are building their own map. They come up with a map that is their map. So they started obviously identifying different aspects, vulnerability, capacities, and all those things that Anthony was pointing at before. So this is the information that might go on the map. Also land use, so you can see the river, you can see different, the roads and different land use types. So we've done that over 4 months. It was about 20 sessions of hour and a half each, so quite a substantial process. 30,000 pieces of Lego. We didn't expect it because, before starting, we asked people around us, okay, did you, because they are fans, they are big fans of Lego. We discovered there are Lego clubs as well. And so we asked, okay, how long does it take to build a map which is 2 by 1 each, 114 centimeters. And no one really knew. So 30,000 pieces of Lego, so it's quite heavy. And so the map that you see is basically representing quite a huge area. It's 3 kilometers by 2, pretty much. So it's quite big. So you can see the different land use types that and the different layers that the children were basically building. And one very important thing is that it's geo-referenced. As for Minecraft, this map is at scale. So it means that since everything is at scale, including the elevation, because it's a 3D, as you can see, you have elevation as well, 3 dimensions. It means that it makes sense to outsiders when they try to discuss information that is on the map. So, this is one of the almost finished map with some of the information that you can see. So, for example, on the right-hand side, can I use that? Yeah. This is the meeting point for evacuation in case of flooding. Up the hill, you have all sorts of information that relates to vulnerability, but also capacity, like the fire station, the community hall. You also have, children were, you're always surprised when you work with children how much knowledge they have about their surrounding environment. But they identify things such as the river, where is it that it's dangerous to swim, where people regularly die or drown, or it's the danger of drowning. But also they identify the river, for example, as a way to evacuate people, to send jet boats if there would be a flooding. These are things that teachers didn't think about. These are things that we didn't think about. And obviously, you tend to dismiss or to think children are not that creative or not that knowledgeable about their area, but actually they are. So, so these are some of the strengths, some of the positive outcomes that we found out of this participatory mapping project using Lego, and very exploratory. Again, no one did that before, so it was very new for us. We were learning as well as the kids were learning doing the map. But one thing was the power of play. Kids absolutely love being involved in such a process. They have their regular classes, and when they were coming to do this, it was fun for them. It was something that they really enjoyed, and as a result, there was active participation. They were not passive at all. Another thing is that, as I mentioned before, as we expected, they're familiar with Lego. So they come up with many ideas, but also they take ownership over the process because they are very familiar. They know very well how to play Lego. They take ownership of that process, over the process. The other aspect was inclusiveness. We had kids who, had learning difficulties. We had girls, boys. We had, different ethnicities as well in the class, different culture and background. So we found that this tool worked very well to involve everyone. Everyone could participate. Everyone had a form of knowledge, input in the participatory mapping process with Lego. And so this was very important because obviously that's one of the key aspects when you deal with DRR, involving everyone. The other aspect was that children became experts, and they were very much empowered with the data. Of course, because they built this map, because they identified the information that was going on this map, because the events were very creative with the, the bricks. Sometimes you lack bricks, you don't have the shape you want, so they come up with alternatives. And they become the expert, and they're empowered with the information that was on the map and with the tool itself. I mean, something I maybe didn't mention before is that you come up with a map, a physical map, and so that's something, that's a map where everyone can go around, so you can have this dialogue around that physical map between children and outsiders. And children knowledge become tangible and communicable to outsiders. Can I play this video? Do you know if it's possible to play? If you can click on play. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks. So, yeah, I mean, we did some photogrammetry and basically try to insert the Lego mapping that we've done into something that could be communicable to outsiders. So this is not just a physical map that you come up with, but it's also a map that is at scale, geo-reference, and that is very easy for outsiders, for people who are experts with GIS, decision makers, to use. So, and here you could easily have children also explaining what's on the map, because it's their map again. So, yeah, just a snapshot of what's possible, what's makeable with Lego. Limitations, and of course there were limitations and challenges. As I said, we learned along the process, but well, one thing was the high amount of bricks. I mean, as I said, we didn't expect that it was going to be 30,000 bricks, and that can be costly. We got money from the Lego Foundation, but they're not that easy to give the Lego bricks. So that's something you need to keep in mind. If you plan to do a project yourself, it can be costly. There are alternatives, there are tips that I'm happy to share after that to make the cost cheaper, but yeah. The time frame, I mean, you need to, again, keep in mind that making the base map takes a lot of time, and when you are facilitating a participatory process, you don't want children to spend too much time on trying to build this base map. You want the process to be smooth, and so this was one of the limitations, and probably there's some room here to work with the Lego Foundation, for example, and coming up with different shapes of bricks and so on. Age limitation, again, you need to be very careful with which kid you're working with. Maybe too young is not the best, and too old, maybe they're bored, they're not so interested into Lego. I mean, we found that between 7 and 12 was the best age, but again, needs to replicate this initiative. And the last thing to be aware of, I guess, is the context. I mean, we did that in New Zealand. It's a Western country where Lego is very popular, but I'm not too sure if Lego is popular in everywhere, in every country. So that's something you need to keep in mind as well. So just to conclude the last few words, definitely Lego is a great, provides great opportunities to foster children participation in a fun and enjoyable way. Participatory Lego mapping could, for example, be mainstream in the school curriculum, or could be much more used in different activities that are geared toward DRR, including in the post-disaster for reconstruction, planning, and so on. That's definitely something that can be done. And maybe a last thing I'd like to emphasize is the fact that I think there's a need to further explore the role of plays and game to empower children with DRR. And what I mean by that is that I think games and plays becoming more and more popular to actually engage children in DRR, but I don't think they should be passive and just play passively, to games. But I think it's very important to think out of the box how we can actually empower them, like we did with the data, with the data production, with the decision-making process. So very much about empowerment and not just playing games and raising awareness and those sort of things. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.